You also mentioned the question of visiting schools. What kind of advice or what are you seeing amongst current 11th graders? What kind of advice would you give them?
I think, yeah, we get lots of questions about that. And my colleague here at Friend Central, Ryan Keaton, who's a real pro and worked for a long time on the college side before she started doing high school college counseling, has been doing the sort of heavy lifting of visiting many colleges' websites and going on their virtual tours and looking at the resources they have been frantically generating to give kids a chance to visit, given that they can't physically visit. I think she's done about 50 virtual college tours. She says that in general, they lean toward dry, but they do provide a good sense of the campus views that you would get on the tour too. College tour guides are not going to take you to that seedy side of campus anyway. It has occurred to me in talking to kids, and I've mentioned it to them, that if you're worried about the virtual tour somehow leaving out things that they would rather have you not see, you can always go to Google Maps and sneak around any part of the campus you want, pretty much. That's one of the amazing things about all these online resources. But my biggest takeaway is that I think the current 11th graders are in some ways going to be in a position to make better choices about their colleges and the ones that end up on their final lists and the ones they apply to, and maybe even the one they choose to attend next spring or earlier, because they will not be sucked in or spit out, depending, by in-person impressions that they get from what are usually pretty short visits. They spend a few hours on a campus, they take a tour, they do an information session, and they go get a cup of coffee in the student union. That's all great. But they think then that they know. They've got they're covered as far as having visited a given place, and they know what they'd be getting. And of course, that's not the case mostly. And it's amazing how many kids come back to me and say, forget it, I'm not applying there. The tour guide was really weird, and I wouldn't want to hang around with kids like that. And that's one student out of, maybe 2,000 or maybe 20,000. Or they come back and say, that's it, I'm going. This is the most beautiful campus I ever saw, and that's where I want to be for 4 years. I mean, it's great that the campus is beautiful. It's too bad that the tour guide seemed like a weird kid, but those aren't good reasons for choosing ultimately the college that you're going to attend. I think most parents would rather not have their kids choose a college based on the architecture alone, or on the reaction that their child had to one particular student. So being online will mean that they have to, and they are already, I'm seeing a difference, they have to dig deeper, and they're taking these virtual tours. The colleges are working very hard to create a lot of new material, and a lot of it's very good. And then we're finding that it's easier, because the kids are already online, for us to get them to take that next step and the next one and the next one, to go and look at a department website within the larger college website, to look at the classes required for a particular major, to look at which ones are elective, which ones are required, to see that there's a capstone project that you have to do if you're in this major, to see that the college actually has an international studies requirement, or to see that they have a particular language requirement, or to see that they have some really interesting extracurricular organizations that wouldn't have been mentioned by the admissions office because there are 250 of them anyway. And so I think really overall the kids are getting they're getting a deeper, more nuanced look, and they're much less likely to be either put off or sucked in by one particular thing that just
Right.
happens to explode in front of them when they do their 3-hour visit.
Right, like a beautiful sunny day, right? Everything there is blue and green and golden. And
Right.
yeah, so that's very interesting because kind of the the spring of your 11th grade year that you spend visiting colleges, I mean, that's sort of kind of the big tradition for a lot of families, for those kids who are lucky enough to be able to do that, of course.
Right.
But that's always been kind of the college visit tour, such an integral part of the process. So it's interesting to think of it being different and in some ways being better